Hi, everybody. This is Claudia with Real Progressives, and I'm here today on Skype on an interview with Dr. Virginia Martin, who is truly an authority how we can actually have election integrity again. And she is in New York State, in Columbia County, and in her county, they truly have election integrity, which is a rare thing these days. And so Virginia will tell us how they achieve that. So let me flip the camera around. And hi, Virginia. Welcome to Real Progressives.
Hi, Claudia.
And
Thank you.
thank you for taking the time out of your evening to speak with us tonight.
Sure.
And so we wanted to hear, first of all, you're in Columbia County, and how are you achieving election integrity?
In New York State, we've been using optical scanners with paper ballots since 2010. All of New York State has done that, and all of New York State is required to do a post-election audit of 3% of the machines that are deployed into within the county.
Right.
And my Republican counterpart and I decided that just wasn't going to be enough for us, and so we wanted to count all the ballots that come back from the poll sites. So we made sure, beginning with the very first election in 2010 that was run with optical scanners, we made sure that we were very, very careful to protect certainly all the machines, but particularly the paper ballots.
Right.
And we initiated a very strict chain of custody, secure chain of custody, bringing all the paper ballots to the Board of Elections right after the election on election night, and then locking everything up under actually triple lock.
Right.
And then reconciling all the ballots that were voted on election night and all the ballots that were not voted on election day, election night, and then counting all the ballots that were voted on election day and making sure that the machines counted correctly. The interesting thing is that the machines really have counted very, very well. We have not particularly had any I will say we really have not had any problems with the machines. We do find some very small differences because humans can read votes better and differently than machines can, and so sometimes our counters are able to read votes that a machine would not have picked up on. So we do have some very small differences, and in a local election that can make a big difference.
Right.
We have not had any big differences. We found that the machines actually have worked quite well.
Right.
And so what we do is we hand count everything. Of course, there's notice to the public and to the candidates and to the party, so they know when we're doing this. And we're happy to have people come in and watch the count, and they can get very close and watch everything that's going on. If they see something that they have a question about, they can question it.
Right.
Usually that doesn't slow things down very much unless we have a very close race and there are attorneys there who are watching every vote being counted. Sometimes that slows it down a little bit, but pretty much we have developed over these 6 years now a very efficient process for hand counting paper ballots, and we have people that are very happy to come in and do the work.
Right.
They do a great job. And, certainly my counterpart, Jason Naskey, and I are both very, very confident that the count was right. We modify it as need be. As I said, if we identify voter intent votes, we call them.
Right.
And we feel very confident about it, and the candidates feel very confident about it. I think the voters do too.
Right. Right. And just 1 second. For the people who just came in, this is Claudia with Real Progressives, and we're doing an interview with Dr. Virginia Martin, who is the Democratic Election Commissioner in Columbia County in New York, and they actually do have real elections, unlike most places in this country. So we're switching back to Virginia. And Virginia, is the process much more costly than, let's say, just machine counting?
No, I don't think so. What we've calculated out is that typically hand counting will cost us about 1% of our annual budget. I consider that to be a very small amount for the confidence that we get.
Right, right. And how do you feel? I mean, you said that in your case, the machine counting is not any different from the hand counting, but have you been following the national elections and how the machines are really not very integral?
I have looked at a little bit. I can't say that I have seen that, Claudia, so if you'd like to comment on that, I'll respond.
Right. Well, and I will actually have Lulu Freistad on again, hopefully in a couple days.
Good.
And she has been paying a lot of attention to that part,
Yeah.
and she has been in Wisconsin the last week checking that. So I just wanted to see whether you have a take on that. And so how many ballots are usually cast in your area? Just to give us an idea about the volume, and how long does it usually take you?
In this election, well, okay, Columbia County is in upstate New York. We're a little bit south of Albany, which is the capital city, a couple of hours north of New York City, and we've got about 41,000 registered voters. Our turnout for this election was 75%.
Wow.
On election day, we had over 27,000 ballots cast. So what we did after the election was reconcile all those ballots, make sure that we had all 27,000, and we did.
Right.
And then we started counting them all. And what we count is we count the contested. There are oftentimes races where there's no opponent. There's nobody. The people are the candidates are running unopposed. We don't recount those.
Right.
Although let me back up even further and say the first thing that we do is we comply with the audit law in New York State, which is to count 3% of the machines that we deployed. Now, we deploy 33 machines, so we have to count one machine. So we do count that machine, and we count every race on that machine, whether the races are contested or not. And then beyond that...
And is that always the same machine, Virginia, or is it getting
No.
switched around randomly?
It gets switched around randomly. There's a public draw to determine which machine is going to be counted in the full hand count after the election is over and after the results are in. We randomly draw a machine.
Right. Okay, great. All right.
Well, it varies from election to election.
Yeah, yeah. And,
So-
sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
So some of those contested races we do count 100%. Like the local ones, we always count 100% because they're small and oftentimes the margins, the victory margins, the margins of loss are relatively small. So we generally count those 100%. The bigger races, the regional races, will count a lot of 50%, 75%. And if we don't see any problems, then we'll typically stop at that point because, we just don't need to count more. We have had the experience that the machines have been counting well. And
Right. Oh, we're back. Yay, we're back. All right. Sorry about that. Sometimes technology is not in favor of us.
well,
Sorry about that. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We are back in business.
good. Technology has its place.
Right. Right.
And
right.
we do respect where it's appropriate and where it's not.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
And in Columbia County, we like hand counting the ballots. The technology of using the voting machines actually works pretty well for us because we get an election night result quickly.
Right.
People want that. Obviously, everybody wants, results immediately.
Right.
So we do get an unofficial result on election night. It's never official. None of the results are official until elections are certified, which in New York State is 25, for counties is 25 days later.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So the machines actually do serve a good purpose for us. And then when we do the hand count, the machines give us a baseline number that we look at after we've counted a given race. Mm-hmm. After the hand counters have counted a given race, we will compare that to what the machine told us. And usually the numbers are exactly the same. Sometimes they're off by 1 or 2. And in the case of the counters having found what we call a voter intent vote, instead of filling in the oval, they circled the oval. Well, the machine can't read that, so the machine read that as a blank. But our counters read that as a vote.
Right.
So our counters will point that out to us, so that when we see that the count is off by 1, we'll look at that ballot and we'll say, oh, yeah, there's a good reason for that.
Right.
So it's actually a pretty good marriage of using humans to do the job of counting how our elections, what our election results are, and using machines.
Right.
It's a good marriage of technology, and neither Commissioner Naskey nor I are comfortable just using technology alone. Nor does New York State, nor would New York State allow us to. New York State does require a 3% audit, but both Commissioner Naskey and I think that we need to do more than that, and we do.
Right. Yes, you absolutely do. Now, I just wanted to know how many people actually count each vote? Like, how many people are involved in each ballot? Is it just one person counting the ballot, or are there more than one person on the table, basically?
Oh, we do it the same way. I think a lot of different places do it. We have a table of 4, 2 mm-hmm. Democrats and 2 Republicans. So on one side will be a Democrat and Republican. On the other side, Democrat and Republican. And on one side, one of the 2 will read the votes off the ballot. Mm-hmm. And the other one of the 2, the one that's from the other party, will watch the ballot very, very closely and make sure that the vote is read accurately.
Right.
That's very important. And I'll tell you, our counters work so hard to do a good job. And they're very, very good at it. On the other side of the table is another Democrat and Republican, and one of them is tallying on a tally sheet, is making hash marks on a tally sheet. So one has a pen and is making tally marks, and the other one is watching that pen very closely to make sure that the hash marks are going in the right place.
Right.
So it's 4 people.
That is amazing. That is what we need all over the country. Now, do you believe that is feasible to do all over the country?
Why, sure. I don't know why not, because all over the country we managed to have poll sites. We managed to get people out to vote. Other counties have more people than we do, so they have more ballots cast. Yes, that's true. They're bigger. They also have more people that they could employ to count those ballots.
Right, exactly.
I mean, compared to Columbia County, they have an advantage. They have more people.
Right, exactly.
I wish we had that many people to call upon. We don't, but we manage it very, very well. And we have a lot of people that are very happy to do the counting, and they're good at it.
Right,
they've gotten better and better.
And it must be actually a wonderful feeling for a community to know that your vote actually is counted.
I think so.
And I think that's why you get so many wonderful people involved in the counting process.
It may have something to do with it.
Yes.
I hope so.
Yes. Oh, that is so wonderful. So, and again, this is Dr. Virginia Martin, and she is from Columbia County, and she's the Democratic Election Commissioner there. And Virginia, thank you so very much for taking this time and informing us, and hopefully many other places in this country will follow suit and will follow your example, because that is truly what we need.
Thank you, Claudia. It's a real pleasure to be able to speak about this.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Virginia Martin, and we were so fortunate that she took the time to come on and inform us. And I hope you guys will spread that video, because I truly believe it is very important that we get that message out, that we actually can have election integrity, contrary to popular belief. And And that is what we need to do in every county in this entire country. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye bye.